So lawmakers in Albany, as we mentioned, are working to get a final budget plan put together by April 1st. And that means it is a very busy time right now for local governments, different groups, all going to Albany and lobbying for funding. Well, this week that included child care advocates, as you can see in this video. A few dozen of them from Western New York headed to the state capitol to make their voices heard. Anyone with young children knows just how expensive child care is right now. It's also sometimes difficult to just get a slot. And the industry itself says it needs more help. Joining us live right now to help us understand this problem is Sheri Scavone, the CEO of the Western New York Women's Foundation. Sheri, I know you were in Albany the other day to take part in this. The last time we talked to you, we were saying it was, I guess, last year at some point, right before your walk. And we discussed then just the difficulty facing the child care industry right now, or at least then. Why go to Albany, and how has the problem sort of evolved from then to now?
Sure. Well, we have made some incremental progress. Last year, we all went to Albany and virtually and in person, and we made some incremental steps to greater accessibility for parents and greater affordability for parents, and a little bit of an increase to child care providers and business owners who accept child care subsidy, which is for our more economically disenfranchised families and those most in need. But the bottom line is that without changes to the whole structure of child care, and especially the compensation, the child care centers are closing left and right. We know we have 20,000 less slots in New York than we did a few years ago. And so parents may be getting a break on the affordability and more eligibility for subsidy, but if they can't find an opening, it doesn't make a difference. Our child care educators make less than 97% of all occupations in this state. Most of them qualify for public assistance and benefits because they are making so little, and yet they are educated, dedicated, and really passionate, mostly women, that are taking care of our next generation.
So when we talk about the dollars and cents of this, what specifically needs to happen, you think, in Albany in terms of the investment in the workforce for childcare?
Right. Well, the governor proposed a number of things in her State of the State that are really helpful, again, in terms of accessibility for parents. But the proposal was for about $389 million of rollover subsidy dollars or stabilization dollars, they were called, to give a kind of one-time little bonus. We know that's not enough. And so we looked at other states, other regions, and we are proposing a $1.2 billion workers' compensation package, similar and modeled after the Washington, D.C. project, which is about a $6 an hour increase. It's not a whole lot. It sounds like a lot of money. That would actually begin to raise the compensation level, drive more people into the field, allow those child care centers. 50% of child care centers right now are saying they have greater capacity if they could recruit staff. And so we have to do something about the compensation package, and we're looking for about $1.2 billion to shore up compensation as a temporary move, quite frankly, until we can look at a long-term sustainable universal child care system for New York State.
Sheri, I want to ask you about immigrant families in particular. I know that you're in support for more help for that. But before we get to that, just to follow up there, as I was looking through some of the images and pictures that you showed us from Albany this week, you met with Democrats, you met with Republicans, you met with senators and assembly members. I mean, how did it go? Are you confident that going there, I mean, they have so many disparate groups coming and saying we need this and that. How do you feel like it went?
Well, we actually thought it was great. We had about 150 childcare providers and advocates that were there, and our meetings in particular, I have to give a shout out to our Western New York delegation. They are incredibly supportive, and they really understand the issue. They understand how childcare is the foundation on which our businesses grow. So while they're hearing businesses cannot recruit people to work for them, and therefore they can't provide services or meals or whatever it is that business does, they recognize that a large part of that is getting women in particular back to the workforce by having a quality, affordable, accessible option for parents for their children.
And then I've only got about 30 seconds left, but in terms of this support for immigrant families, talk about that need that still exists there.
Yeah, again, huge issue, particularly in downstate, for children who need support and parents who are working, particularly as they're going through the naturalization process. So that is also part of the Empire State Child Care Campaign ask moving forward is, just like public school doesn't discriminate on the basis of immigration status, that our child care system and our subsidy system should support those children as well.
All right, April 1st is supposed to be when we get the budget agreement. Doesn't always come on time,
Right.
but somewhere around there, we'll be following it closely. Sheri is the CEO of the Western New York Women's Foundation. Thanks so much for coming in. Good to see you.
Thank you.